ready to do this. This is a 360 camera. Super. Hey guys, it's super windy in San Francisco, so sorry about the wind noise, but guess who finally got around to doing a review of her AMG C63s Coupe. I'm really excited to tell you guys all about my spec, why I got the C63s, and take you guys on a drive with me and show you guys the car. I've had the car for about 2 months now, put about 2,500 miles on it, even though I drive the SV a ton, and I absolutely love it. So I'm really excited to share it with you. So the question a lot of you have been asking me is, why did I choose the C63s Coupe? When I started looking for a car, I was looking for a good pair to go with my Lamborghini SV Roadster. And I didn't start by looking at the C63s Coupe. I actually went to BMW first to look at the M4, which is also a coupe. And it was really peppy, it was really fast, but I just didn't fall in love with it. Like, it wasn't super comfortable, and it wasn't what I was looking for when I was looking for the second car to go with my Lamborghini SV Roadster. So then I thought maybe keep it in the family, and I went to Audi to look at the S5. I went to Audi in Oakland, and they just would not give me the time of day. They didn't take me seriously, and they had an S5 right there on their showroom floor, and they just wouldn't show it to me. So, sorry Audi, but not really sorry. And then I went to Mercedes, and they had a C300 on the showroom floor, which I loved, but it just wasn't enough power for me. So then I started looking at the C43, C63, and C63s, which are all AMGs. And the C43 is all-wheel drive, but I really didn't need that, so I prioritized the 503 horsepower in this monster and crazy amount of torque over that. And even before that, I just saw it and I fell in love with how it looked. And then I test drove the C43 and C63s, and I just ended up loving the sound and everything about this car. I got it. And I chose to get a coupe because why would you get a sedan? So let's start with the window sticker. As you guys know, it's a 2017 AMG C63s Coupe, and the base price was $75,000. With all the options I got, it ended up coming out to $82,000. So the options I got the performance exhaust, which was one of the best options because the car just sounds so amazing now. And the Premium 2 package, which gives you navigation and voice control. The Night package, which blacks out a lot of the cool components of the car, which I'll be showing you guys. And the Parking Assist, which gives you the 360 surround camera. Let me show you guys the car. It just looks amazing, and I love everything about it. Start by looking at the outside of the car. The front end of the AMG C63s just looks so mean and aggressive, and it's totally unique to the C63s. I ended up not getting the illuminated star because I didn't think it looked super great. I got the car in an obsidian metallic black, and like I said, I got the Night package, which means this piece in the front here is blacked out. And I ended up getting my wheels powder coated because I really like the design of this rim and how it shows the caliper better than the upgraded option for the rim. So I asked Mercedes to send it out to get powder coated in a gloss black color that matched the car, and I love how it turned out, and it kind of completes the whole blacked out look of my car. And on the side here it says V8 by Turbo. Side of the car. case you guys didn't know, I have a YouTube channel. The best option I got, like I said, is definitely the sports exhaust, because the car growls when you drive, as you guys will hear, and it just totally sounds like a monster with this. On the back you see the AMG badge, the C63s badge. Something really cool is when you reverse, the backup camera actually pops out of here, so the star opens up and the camera pops out. And this is the rear spoiler, which adds to the sportiness of the whole car. There's 3 ways to open the trunk. You can use this button on the key, you can use the little latch on the door on the inside, or you can just kick your foot here and the trunk pops up. The trunk is actually pretty big. It's a lot of space. Like, even if I reach all the way in, my hand won't touch the outside. Before I show you guys the inside of the car, let me show you guys what powers this monster. It's a 4-liter V8 bi-turbo engine that cranks out 503 horsepower and 516 pound-feet of torque. That's just insane for a luxury coupe like this. And that's what moves this car from 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds. The car weighs over 4,000 pounds, so that's just crazy. Also, the engine is handcrafted, and the name of the person who makes the engine is on the engine, which is really what makes the AMG just so special. And the sports exhaust, when the car is on, you can actually spitting out stuff. We're gonna rev it a little bit to hear it. It crackles and it's so loud. So another thing I forgot to mention is that I did order this car. So it took about, I would say, 5 months from the time I placed my order in December to the time I got it at the end of April. But I think it was so worth it because I got to really customize this car in a lot of ways, and it's just so me. And one example of that is the red interior. I just love the red interior so much. It's just, you can see it in the details, like the stitching on the door here, and the stitching on the wheel and dash. I think it just really makes the car pop, and it's kind of just what makes it stand out so much. The seats have an AMG logo on the headrest, and they have Alcantara on the side here. So I ended up getting the comfort seats over the sports seats because I wanted this car as a daily, so comfort was a big priority for me. So just going through a little bit of the interior here. On the side, there's this thing shaped like a seat, and it's how you adjust your seat, obviously. And unlock, lock button. Windows, side mirrors. This button is for the heated seats, and when you press it, it defaults to 3, and it actually gets really hot if you leave it on. The trunk, you can open, let me focus, you can open and close the trunk with this button right here. And the car does have a 360 camera, which I'll show you when we drive around. I think it's so helpful, especially when you're squeezing into tight spaces, like, and you're like, will I make it, will I not? And it just has saved me so many times. And there's parking sensors, which obviously I always leave on because there's no real reason to turn them off. Headlights. And the wheel, actually one really interesting thing about the wheel, not only is it flat bottom, has the AMG symbol on it, it's actually really thick. Like it's such a thick wheel. And I'm saying this in comparison to the wheel of my SV Roadster, which is actually, I wish it was like this. It has Alcantara on it here. And these are just buttons. Let me turn on the car. So these are buttons used to go through the options on the screen here. I usually just like to go to the AMG and I like to see the temperatures of the oil. Okay, and here is voice navigation, which I don't use that often, but it's there. So in the middle here, you have your temperature controls. It's kind of hot, so I'll actually turn this on. And navigation, radio,
money for something better,
media. So often I just connect my phone to Bluetooth and play my music myself. The phone, the settings of the car, which is really interesting to just look at and go through. So you go through stuff by using this controller here, so you can have your 360 camera. Let's go to dynamic select. And there's an individual mode of the car, so you can see when I change the modes, there's an individual mode, so that's how you would select that. So what I did is I put my suspension on Sport and my exhaust on Sport Plus for this mode. Back to the menu. And yeah, the last thing here is the emergency flashers. I really, really like this old school clock also. And if it focuses, you can see it has carbon fiber on the back here, just like there's carbon fiber actually on the back of the dials here, which I just think is so cool and just makes the car look really sporty. Okay, now I can move my Starbucks here. I can go through. So this is how you change the modes of this car. So if you see, as I move this button up and down, there's comfort mode, sport plus mode, and race mode. You can kind of see the RPMs jump there as I change from sport to sport plus. And we'll drive in all of these modes so we can kind of get a feel for all of the modes. Over the last 2 months, I've driven the first 1,000 miles in comfort mode, and then I started driving in sport plus mode after break-in period. Alright, so that's that, and this is the suspension. You can actually adjust it yourself, so you can have just comfort suspension, sport suspension, or sport plus suspension. Traction, this is kind of what you use to control the screen right here. It's actually really interesting that you can write stuff here too and it'll recognize that. And the exhaust, I love having the sports exhaust on always, pretty much, even in comfort mode. And this is the automatic engine shut off, so when you turn on the car and it starts in sport plus mode, it will have that option on automatically, so every time you stop the engine will shut off just to save gas. But I really don't like that, so I normally turn it off. And the seat belt's coming out. Yeah, so those are the controls on the inside. This is kind of what the car looks like from my perspective when I'm driving. Another thing I forgot to mention is I really like this stripe because it's just so racy and you can kind of see how the wheel is turned. Yeah. There's 2 seats in the back. I've never been back here just because I've never really let anyone else drive my car. But my sister and my family tell me it's actually not bad and really comfortable back there. There's cup holders right here. I also really love the AMG logo on the seats here. See, it's actually really interesting. There's an AMG logo here. There's one right here. It's on the floor mats right there. It's on the seats. It's everywhere, so you know this car is an AMG. And on the kick plate over here too. Above what I like to call the iPad stuck here, there's the rearview mirror and a lot of controls for lights. Lights here, lights in the back, emergency button that pops out, and buttons here for the sunroof. This way. It's one touch, so it's really nice for a warm day. But we'll keep it closed so we don't get more wind noise. There we go. So with the car on, when the car is in reverse, you can see the backup camera pop out. Super helpful, like I said. We're not really in a tight space here in San Francisco, but if we were, there's a 360 camera which shows a bird's eye view of the car and the trajectory that you're in. So it's super easy to use this car, especially in the city, to get in and out of tight spots. And also, before we go, I'll just go through the modes one more time and go really quickly through what each of them do exactly. So first, as I said, there's comfort mode, which means that the engine is gonna shut off automatically when you stop. The sports exhaust is off and the suspension is really soft. The next one is sport mode, which is kind of, in my opinion, a mix of comfort and sport plus, where the suspension's a little bit stiffer, there is no sports exhaust and the engine doesn't shut off automatically. Sport plus mode, you can kind of just hear the engine start growling because the exhaust is on. The suspension is super stiff and the exhaust is on. This is the mode I like to drive in most often. And last, race mode, which is pretty self-explanatory, very racy, very stiff suspension, and also limited traction, so the car can peel out much better. Alright, so to start, we will start in comfort mode. When you get inside a car, normally the first thing you do is reach for the seatbelt. But it's a Mercedes, of course, so it has to hand you the seatbelt. So I've already shown you guys the cameras, and self-parking is another really cool feature of this car, but I'm not going to demonstrate it right now. There's a really cool video that I made of the self-parking, and I'll link it here so you guys can go watch that. I highly recommend, because I think it's just so cool. But now we're gonna go on the drive. We're in Sport Plus mode, even though in the city I usually drive in Sport mode. So we're in drive, and we're gonna get going. So something really funny about this car I realized is it's not meant to be driven in manual mode for this reason. When you turn the wheels, the paddles of the car actually turn with the wheels. And it's really funny because in most cars, like my SV Roadster and even my GTR, which I had before, the paddles are stationary, so you know exactly where to shift. But when I put this car in manual mode, sometimes I find myself looking for the paddles. But that's not a major drawback for me, especially because the car does so well in automatic and it's so comfortable in automatic too. So the car is just great in automatic. So it's okay that, you know, I can't really drive the car as easily in manual mode. But it's really easy to engage manual mode. You just basically pull any of the paddles to temporarily engage it, or you could press this button to put the car in manual mode if you wanted to. And we'll probably do a little bit of that just so I can show you guys how smooth the MCT is. The car is just so smooth when it shifts. You barely notice that it shifts, but you definitely notice when you listen to the sound of the engine. Downshifting there. Super smooth, like I said. We just went through a huge bump there, but the car does so well. Even in Sport Plus mode when the suspension's really stiff. I just pulled the paddle to activate manual mode. So amazing. So when I did launch control yesterday, I realized that this is one of those cars where you just feel so confident driving it because it's very stable and it just gives you a lot of confidence when you drive. This is kind of just like launch control, but I'm not going to do that here. So if you guys want to see that, you should definitely watch the video, which I'll also link. But right now we're in race mode. We're going to test this out. We're in automatic, or sorry, manual in race mode. So small, it's so funny. So the car, that sound was because I just got too close to the car in front of me. I'm trying to make it cross all the lanes here. Alright, let's go back to Sport Plus. It's actually really cool because you can see how much horsepower, it says 0 horsepower here, how much of the horsepower we're using. So if I hit the gas, you can see what we're actually using. That's also reflected in the screen I chose to display here, which shows the boost we're using. So you can tell when the car is like not trying at all versus when you're actually using the power of this car. So just for a second here, we're going to go back to sport mode, which by default the sports exhaust is off, but even when I drive in sport mode, I like to turn it on myself by pushing this button. And actually even in comfort mode, I do that even when there's really no need, because I love hearing the sound. So sport mode is basically, I like to say, a less aggressive version of Sport Plus, where the suspension is a little bit stiffer than comfort mode, but overall the car is kind of somewhere in between those two. But it still feels like a sports car for sure, which is why it's called Sport Mode. So for this corner, we're gonna go back in Sport Plus. it out all the way. Hit the brakes. So just for a second, I'm gonna go into comfort mode as I'm getting home, so I can show you guys that too. So this is comfort mode. The car is super, just taking it easy. Like, I wouldn't say it's like any other car still, because it's still so amazing in comfort mode, but it does this thing where, for example, the engine just shut off, and if you're on the freeway cruising, it kind of just goes into this mode where it's saving gas, and definitely you have to push a little bit harder to accelerate in comfort mode, which is what it's meant to do. It's not meant to be driven like a race car in comfort mode. So yeah, to be very biased, I can say I personally don't like comfort mode. I will definitely have a lot more driving footage of the AMG, and I want to show you guys so much more about the AMG. I have to turn this off right now, it's annoying me. So overall, it's been the best 2,500 miles in this car, and I can confidently say Mercedes got everything about this car right. I seriously could not think of a better daily and a better pair with my SV than this car. So we're gonna be going on a lot more fun drives in this car, but for now, I'm really glad I got to show you guys my car. Thanks for watching. Bye guys.